Welcome everyone. In this video, we're going to play some games with a variation of the Green Aggro Deck that I refer to as the Teched Green Aggro Deck. So this is basically the Green Aggro Deck with a bunch of tech cards put in. I've been playing a ton of games with this deck recently, and I think it has a really strong position in the metagame. We're not going to do a full deck guide because the way to play this deck is very similar to the just regular Green Aggro Deck, so I'm going to link the deck guide that I made for that deck down below. The one big difference is we've taken out some of the I'll call them like flex spots and replace them with tech cards. So let's talk through all the tech card additions just to understand what matchup they're there for. So the first tech card is Bunkus. Now, even though you only play against blue, maybe like 1 out of every 10 games, or something like that, maybe even less than that. Whenever you play blue, the difference between having Bunkus in your deck and not is is giant. Like it goes from a kind of a bad matchup, like let's say maybe a 35-65 matchup to probably like an 80-20 matchup. And the thing that makes Bunkus such an effective tech card is you only need one of them, right? Because normally, like, let's say you have a tech card and you need it and it really helps you win a matchup, but you only draw like through a third of your deck with this deck each game because there's not a lot of draw in the deck. Or I actually don't think there's any draw in the deck. But with Bunkus, right, because blue is trying to ice your deck, Bunkus will end up in your ice almost always. I mean, yes, it can become a rod, but that's also we run BounceHouseRod as well. So, right, because we run BounceHouseRod, even if Bunkus becomes a rod, most of the time you can kind of salvage it. So, right, this is here for the blue matchup. We don't play blue that much, but blue is also personally just a really frustrating matchup to play. So that's why I like having Bunkus in there because it really helps with that matchup. The next card that we're running is we're running 3 copies of MissPlaceForgetterofThings. So, right, Misplace says when this penguin enters the huddle, pick a card in your opponent's ice. Cards with the same name as that card can't be played while this penguin is in your huddle. So, Misplace is really good against against Bizbunk. So, when you're playing Bizbunk, there's a few ways, a few tech cards you can use to help with that matchup. And so, one of them is Got 'em. So, right, Got 'em basically just helps you remove the ascending penguins and the penguin who's okay. But the issue I find with playing Gotham is twofold. First, Bizbunks are really prepared to play against Gotham, right? Gotham is one of those cards that's actually like I think a victim to its own strength. Like Gotham is so good of a card that every deck is just prepared to play around it and basically builds their deck in a way where they don't get wrecked by Gotham, and then that makes Gotham weaker. So right, they'll play like not a rod anymore and inspiring story to get around Gotham. The other thing is this deck, you're really just trying to power to 15 permanents as quickly as possible. And using a rod like Gotham basically plays against your win condition a bit because you kind of lose some of that momentum of quickly building up your rods. So Misplace, on the other hand, I think is the kind of mid-game answer to Bizbunk, where basically in the middle of the game, the targets you're trying to hit are generally Ascending Penguin and Bunkus. But depending on how many misplaces you have, or as it gets later in the game, like Bashful Swordsman also can work. Or something you can do is if you have 2 misplace, you use the first misplace in order to get like, let's say their Ascending Penguin or their Bunkus, and then the second one you get Adventure Squad. But with misplace, you have to be a little flexible because it really depends on what options you have to pick from. One thing I've learned is you don't want to just wait forever with misplace. You just kind of got to play it and then try to protect it. Like you might, first of all, you might draw a second misplace, and second of all, if you lose a game with misplace still in your hand, it's just you definitely realize you did something wrong. So the other thing with Misplace that we want to keep in mind is the best card to go with Misplace is Walk the Runway. Because what'll happen is you'll play Misplace, and then they want to Adventure Squad it. And then you play Walk the Runway in response to Adventure Squad, and then you also get a 2-for-1, plus you protect your Misplace. So in the Bizbunk matchup, like if you know you're playing against Bizbunk, basically I hard mulligan for Misplace, Walk the Runway, and Popcorn Penguin. Popcorn Penguin is a bit like, right, it can win the games, but the problem with Popcorn Penguin is it's a bit slow. I know that sounds crazy, but right, like they play because you're generally winning the vibe check. They can play an ascending penguin and you can't even respond to it with a popcorn until the following turn. So they get a full turn with the ascending penguin. So anyway, yeah, so Misplace is the other tech card we put in here. I think like so the other tech card slots is HungryPenguin. Now, I think in the basic build of this deck, I am playing more than 2 copies of it, but I still consider this a tech card. So HungryPenguin is in there basically for the green mirror. We also have EverybodyStayClam. So EverybodyStayClam is in here for yellow. Now, I have played this deck sometimes with just 0 clams and 4 cleanup goods, but right, to be a more balanced approach, I do like playing the 2 clams. It really helps against buddy up. So like if you're playing against yellow, what you can do is you can basically wait till they get them in a position where it forces them to play buddy up. They play buddy up, you play stay clam, then that vibe check becomes a tie, or you win it because it's a tie. And then the following turn, right? This is another use for misplace. Then you can play misplace and grab them buddy up from the ice to prevent them from playing a second buddy up. Now that doesn't happen very often, but it's a play I've done a few times. Other than that, I think the other tech cards, I mean, I guess we could call SuccessPenguin, like we've taken SuccessPenguin down in copies down to 2, but I do think it is still good to have some amount of 3 drops, and SuccessPenguin also really helps in the green matchup. And then the other cards, WhataTwist, I really think it's necessary to run 4 because WhataTwist does a few things. So first, right, it works with EverybodyStayClam. You can cheese out a few games like that, although often because your opponents play WhataTwist, that in itself is not sufficient. WhataTwist also can really help with HungryPenguin. So, right, there's been a lot of games where I HungryPenguin, WhataTwist, HungryPenguin again. Or if they have a HungryPenguin, you can use WhataTwist. Or against caffeine, like against too much caffeine, WhataTwist can be really strong. I've also cut BounceHouseRod down to 3. BounceHouseRod is a card that I think is super strong, but you never want to have 2 of them. Because if you have 2 of them, you end up rotting one of them, and then it makes it weaker. Plus, if you're on the back foot, like in the mirror, if you aren't winning the vibe checks and not putting rods down from winning the vibe check, BounceHouseRod is actually pretty bad. So you want to really only have this card when you're ahead. Now with this deck, you are almost always ahead, so it's not like saying that's like a hard condition to meet. But if you're behind, it's really frustrating to keep drawing bounce house rods. So I think I found a 3 is a good sweet spot for bounce house rod. So anyway, this is the kind of what I'll call the Teched Green Aggro deck. In my opinion, this is currently the best build of green aggro. All right, so that's the deck list. Let's jump in some games and see how we perform. All right, jumping into the first game, let's take a look at our mulligans. So, okay, so we don't want to keep CleanUpGood for sure. Definitely want to keep InspiringStory. In the 2-drop department, um, I think if we had CuriousPenguin, I would prioritize that. But since we don't, I think we'll keep the BlossomingPenguin because it has a higher chance of winning on turn 2. And then, right, we can go directly from BlossomingPenguin into SlidingPenguin. All right, so this looks like a pretty perfect hand. Now, we do also have the Penguin whose garden grows, so we'll still have to see which one we want to actually play on turn 2. Okay, so let's see. So they didn't play anything on turn 1. So we have the popcorn as well. So that's pretty good. So I think we have a good start here. And okay, so let's see. I think we want to hold on to the misplace just in case it's Bizbunk. So I think we'll play the blossoming penguin. The reason we play that over the penguin whose garden grows is I really want to go into sliding penguin. And right, if they play if we play the blossoming penguin, we would lose that vibe check most likely. Okay, so they didn't play anything on turn 2, which means that let's see. So if they didn't play anything on turn 2, definitely could be Bizbunk. So we're going to keep the misplace for sure until we get confirmation it's not Bizbunk. So then let's see. Okay, so we have Hungry. So I think Hungry is the least important out of these. Or maybe it's misplaced now. Because I think so the question is what are they playing, right? If I knew what they were playing, this would be easier. But I think I'll use Hungry Penguin as the rod just to hold on to the misplace for one more turn. I'm really hoping I can get a read on what they are now because, yeah, and the reason I would have just passed and not played a rod maybe, but right then I didn't have a play that turn. So okay, so it is Bizbunk. So it's good that we held on to the misplace. So now let's start thinking about the misplace. So we need to keep checking their ice. So we definitely don't. None of those cards are important. So we need to think about Adventure Squad too. So right when we're playing against Bizbunk, it's always a question about Adventure Squad. And the best way to play around Adventure Squad is by having a WalktheRunway. So let's see what's going on now. All right. So yeah, so I think we can just keep. So is there any point to the yeah, I guess we'll just play the inspiring story because we don't want to play the popcorn yet because right, we want to get at least a penguin who's okay with it. One thing when we're playing Bizbunk is we want to make sure to be able to beat the what's it called? The penguin who breaks the fourth wall. So this is a little unfortunate that we have no answers to the ascending. I mean, we do have an answer in popcorn, but it's going to be one turn too late. So, right, to beat the penguin who is a fourth wall, we need something with at least 10 vibe. And so we already have stuff with 8 vibe. So we're not in a bad spot. Um, so they didn't play the yeah, so I think one thing is, right, they might have had Adventure Squad, which makes it a little tricky with the Walk the Runway anyway, because right, we could have played Walk the Runway, then they would have Adventure Squad. So I think it's safer to wait for the popcorn. It's just they're going to play one yeah, they're gonna play one probably Bashful Swordsman next turn. But then that will hopefully give us a good misplaced target. So okay, so they got an Adventure Squad in their ice. So we could target the Adventure Squad, but I think that in itself is not really worth it. So yeah, one of the issues is we don't have a good way to protect misplace right now. So maybe that's so let's see. Okay, so there's BounceHouseRod. Okay, so we're definitely playing popcorn. So okay, there's another popcorn to get. So let's play this popcorn. I don't want to play BounceHouseRod yet because I really want more misplace, or I want to walk the runway. Walk the runway would be super powerful. So yeah, so there's the swordsman. So we could also grab the swordsman with misplace, but okay, so there's ascending penguin. So if I could remove, right, you can see the ascending penguin here. So if I could remove their ascending penguin and then prevent them from playing future ascending penguins, I found that that's often the best way for this to work. Plus, they're not going to be able to adventure squad it. Oh, and we're going to have initiative, or they're going to have initiative, so we can respond to what they're playing. So I think this is going to be, yeah. So I think this will be pretty good. So right, because we're going to be able to remove the brainy penguin with a popcorn, which will keep them off purple pudge for a while. Now, maybe they'll play another ascending now, but I guess right that really wouldn't make sense because the popcorn is still on the board. So they're going to need to remove the popcorn. Um, maybe we could get the fourth wall as well. That's an interesting. But right, the fourth wall we can handle the fourth wall because we have another sliding penguin, so we can go sliding, sliding, blossoming in order to get a 10 vibe penguin. So we can outgrow the fourth wall. Okay, so they're gonna play the popcorn penguin, which means that their popcorn will hit our popcorn. So we're gonna just try to, yeah, we're just gonna outgrow their popcorn, I think. So that's not gonna be a problem. So I think we just play the misplace this turn. And right, because well, what if they inspiring story? But if they inspiring story, we'll have initiative, so we'll be bigger. So okay, so we're gonna grab, yeah, we're gonna grab. Okay, so it's interesting because all their ascending penguins are already um in their ice. Well, they have one more in their deck, but okay, so let's grab ascending penguin. Okay, yeah, so we'll grab ascending penguin. Um, even though there's only one left. And then okay, so then the question is, do we want to bounce house and get the popcorn now? I kind of think we do because we're gonna want that eventually anyway. No, let's wait because if we can get another what's it called? If we can get another misplace as a rod, it's gonna be really nice to grab that. Okay, so yeah, right, we're just gonna our plan is just gonna be to outgrow their popcorn, right? So we'll get rid of their brainy this turn, and that'll force their popcorn kind of to ice itself next turn. So because right, we're gonna have like even if they play inspiring story, their popcorn is not gonna be able to get big enough. Because right, we're just gonna play inspiring story, and then our lowest vibe is gonna be 8 or something like that. So okay, so how are we gonna lose? We're gonna lose to a bunkus at this point. Now, luckily, they're gonna be not able to put that many cards in their ice. Okay, so do I even need to play the inspiring story? Or should I just play Romulus? Um, right, because if I play my inspiring story will get everything to 6. So there's no way that their popcorn can outgrow. So I think I'm better off actually just playing Romulus. So I'm gonna play Romulus. Um, and I think this might actually be the turn to play the inspiring. Oh, look, there's another um misplace. Okay, so let's get the misplace. So next turn we can hopefully lock out Bunkus. So the only thing is there's no Bunkus in their ice yet. But worst case, we'll knock out the fourth wall or something, or the Bashful Swordsman, right? Because the Bashful Swordsman might be a way that they can um, get at the game as well. So looking at our rods, we have 6. So we could play Misplace with Success Penguin next turn, for example. And then I think they will be in no position. Yeah, if I play Misplace into Success Penguin, I think there's no way that they're going to be able to that they would be able to win, like to stop us from winning. Okay, so we're going to, let's see, well, I guess we'll boost the Romulus. I'm not sure. Okay, so, right, we'll easily, right, because they're not even gonna have 2 purple Pudge. So, okay, so the question really is, um, we really want we like, we don't have an answer to Bunkus, right? And so, we're really hoping that they get a Bunkus in their ice so we can prevent it with Misplace. Like, if we can hit Bunkus with Misplace here, it would be amazing. Um, Alternatively, like, right, if we could get, like, a Hungry Penguin or something like that. Well, so maybe we use the Bounce House Rod prematurely, um, because yeah, so, right, they're gonna well, they're doing a lot of drawing, so I'm hoping there's a Bunkus in their ice. We'll be checking next turn, because yeah, so I think we could right, we're gonna have 9 rods, so we can either just do Sliding and Inspiring and go for, like, a super large like, at that point, our Penguin's gonna be 20, so so that's, like, making the Romulus as big as possible. Although they might be able to, like, do a what's it called? Oh, Bounce House too. Okay, so let's see if there's a Bunkus in here. Alright, so there's no Bunkus. So, well, there is a Bashful Swordsman, but the thing with the Bashful Swordsman is if they play a Bashful Swordsman, we're gonna win because right? Yeah, so we're not really worried about a Bashful Swordsman. So, there's no Bunkus. Is there do we have a Hungry Penguin? So we could get a Hungry Penguin. Hungry Penguin would enable us, but if we get the Hungry Penguin, let's see, then we can play what? We can just play Hungry Penguin and that's it. We would only be at 14. So I don't think we wanna do that. So I think we just go Inspiring because I really wanna hit Bunkus, and I don't really yeah, so the Misplace is not really yeah, I think we just go like this, because if they basically play out a Bunkus this turn, um, yeah, I don't really have an answer for it is the problem, but the problem was with Misplace, there was no way we were gonna be able to answer Bunkus. So now the Bunkus is gonna come, right? Yeah, there the Bunkus are. So they held them back. So if they play Bunkus now, right, then next turn, I guess we can Hungry Penguin the Bunkus. So if they play 1 Bunkus now, we'll be able to, yeah, so we can deal with 1 Bunkus with Hungry Penguin, or we could maybe we should have grabbed Cleanup Good. Yeah, because if we would have grabbed Cleanup Good, we would have had a Romulus that was potentially bigger. So, okay, well, anyway, we'll stop them from playing Bunkus next turn. Oh, no, because they're gonna win the vibe check. Okay, so what are we doing here? Um, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I don't really yeah, so this is definitely tricky. So we have yeah, so how do we deal with yeah, so we could also just say, okay, we're gonna win with cleanup good. But right, what if they have adventure squad? So if they adventure squad and get the misplace off the board, yeah, that could be a problem for us too. Um, hmm. Okay, we need to think about this. Okay, so we need to figure out how we're going to handle this bunkus, right? So, well, we'll see what they play next turn because there's a chance that they'll play a second bunkus, right? If they play a second bunkus, then we have to go for something like cleanup good. So then we could play misplace, for example, on adventure squad. If we played misplace on adventure squad, and then we basically just made a giant Romulus, we might be able to outgrow their we might be able to outgrow their bunkus, especially if they play another bunkus. So I think if they just play one bunkus, we'll do Hungry Penguin. And if they play multiple bunkus, I guess we have to do the cleanup good route. So let's see what they do. And yeah, so we don't have enough rods to do Hungry Penguin and Misplace. So if they just leave a single bunkus, so they're definitely trying to okay, so they're going like the penguin who's okay route. Um, so okay, so they're just trying to get into this position. All right, so hmm. All right, so their bunkus can get very large. All right, so we could okay, so if we go with cleanup good, we can make our Romulus maybe bigger than their Bunkus, but right, if they play something like a Study at Night, it's going to be difficult. So then, okay, so what should we do? So we could grab, is there an Adventure Squad in here? There's not even an Adventure Squad. So what's in here that's useful? Yeah, basically nothing. So, okay, so Misplace is kind of useless. So I think, okay, so I think we'll get the Hungry Penguin then. So I guess we'll play, yeah, I guess we'll play this. We'll get the Hungry Penguin. Definitely not ideal because, right, we could get countered by a single Adventure Squad now. But I don't think that there's any other, okay, so, right, okay, so the idea here is, right, the CleanUpGood play, I guess, could have worked, but then we would have lost to Study at Night, right, because they would ice so many cards with Study at Night. So there was really no, well, maybe Study at Night wouldn't have been a problem. Okay, so let's see. So, yeah, and maybe they have WhataTwist. Okay, so then we have our own WhataTwist. So let's see. Yeah, so I really wish I could have put a misplace. Well, I wouldn't have had Pudge to do that. So, okay, so let's see. If they have another WhataTwist, then this is just going to go on for another turn or two, I guess. But let's see. Okay, so yeah, so let's see. So if they have Adventure Squad, right, they can remove the Hungry Penguin, which is going to be a problem for us. But let's see what's in their ice. So in their ice, yeah, still there's no Adventure Squads in there, and there's no. Are there Bismos in there? Because yeah, right, they're gonna be very close to ending the game with Bismo next turn, right? Because they're gonna ice so many cards. So if they have another WhataTwist, it definitely won't be ideal for us. Yep. Okay. Yeah, because then they also win initiative. So if we had one more WhataTwist, okay. So the question is, are they able to finish the game this turn? But if they're not able to finish the game, then, but I don't really see a world where we can finish the game either, right? Because they're going to get a bunch of bunkus on the board now. And did they even leave any bunkus in here for our, yeah, so, okay, so we have WalktheRunway, so we can protect the Hungry Penguin. But the problem is they're just going to play all these bunkus, right? Because they could even play like a Brainy Penguin. Well, maybe we can deck them if they don't set up for the win this turn. Although I think it might be difficult to prevent them from getting, like, if they just set themselves to 14 or something, then maybe there's a chance we could do something like, especially if we draw a, like, EverybodyStayClam or something. But yeah, yeah, they're looking to win on board. But yeah, so if they play another, okay, so they played another bunkus. Okay, so we have 2 bunkus to deal with, but they probably are out of WhataTwist at this point because I think they generally only run 2. So if we can get a way to handle, like, if we can get like a CleanUpGood maybe, or a, yeah, so what would work? A second Hungry Penguin or a CleanUpGood. But I think the Hungry Penguin play was still good because we, they needed 2 WhataTwist in order to get it. Okay, so we did get WhataTwist. So that's not bad. Okay, so let's see what we can get. We might as well just play this, right? Just in case this goes on for one more turn. And so what would we stop here? Okay, so we should stop them from playing additional bunkus, right? I really want to stop them from playing Adventure Squad, but that doesn't exist. And at least we have the WalktheRunway for Adventure Squad. Okay, so we got, all right, so then what should we make? We should make our, I guess we'll just make our Romulus as big as possible to pretend like we have a CleanUpGood. Because if we had a CleanUpGood here, so right, theoretically, we have a path to winning if they don't have another WhataTwist, right? Because we can go Hungry Penguin against one, and then we can WhataTwist and then grab the other one. Now, maybe they're going to Adventure Squad, but now if they Adventure Squad, we have Walk the Runway. So do they have another WhataTwist? I mean, they definitely could. I feel like most BizBunks run 2 copies of WhataTwist, and they used 2 last turn already. So, okay, so they're drawing. Okay, so that makes me think that they don't have an answer. And what would they draw for? If they draw Adventure Squad, we're fine, right? Because whatever they Adventure Squad, we can counter with Walk the Runway. So I think so. Right, we lose to another WhataTwist for sure, right? But right, if they drew a WhataTwist there, they wouldn't have right. They can't play it because you have to play it as a rod because it's a saucy rod. So not worried about that per se, but an Adventure Squad, 1 Adventure Squad we can handle. 2 Adventure Squads we can't handle, right? Because we have to Walk the Runway for the 1 Adventure Squad. So if these are 2 Adventure Squads, we will lose. And if any of these are WhataTwist, we will lose. But like I said before, they used 2 WhataTwist in the previous turn. Let's see how many WhataTwists are in their ice right now. 0. Because, I mean, that makes sense. So they would have shuffled them with Bunkus. And I think the ones they shuffle with Bunkus, they wouldn't have had an opportunity to draw yet. So I think there's a chance we pull this out. But either way, I think we set ourselves up in a decent position in the end game. We obviously, like, they played really well around Misplace. I'm not sure if they did it on purpose or if it's just how the cards fell. But right, had we been able to grab a Bunkus with Misplace in the mid game, like that second one, we definitely would have won because the problem is we just can't handle these Bunkus. So the question is, do they have another WhataTwist now? Because that is going to be the challenge. So, okay, they don't have another WhataTwist, so it looks like we are going to win. And this was an extremely tight match. So, yeah. So I think okay. So the without the Misplace on the ascending, I don't think we would have been able to win the game. So because right, that was a very well what's it called? They like this was a very close game, and the one on the ascending definitely pushed us over the edge. Okay, cool. So let's jump to the next game. All right, taking a look at the mulligans, I think this, yeah, I think this is a BizBunk again. So we're gonna keep the Misplace and probably both popcorns, right? Yeah. So I think if we're thinking about playing BizBunk, I think basically we want these. These are all cards we want in the matchup, and yeah. Luckily we got a bunch of other early game stuff, so we're not gonna have too slow of a start. But I think just generally like having 2 popcorns is really nice in the BizBunk matchup because yeah, because you can basically just power them out, right? And not worry about if they just get like medium value, and they can really lock up the board. So one of the nice things about all right, do we need CleanUpGood? Probably not. One of the nice things about having popcorn on the board is right the turn that before it ices itself, like they can't play anything those turns either. So it can kind of just hold up the board. So okay, so we have yeah, and since we have 2 of them, that means we can basically prevent them from playing stuff for 4 turns total. So hopefully we just need them to yeah. Oh, Walk the Runway even better. So okay, so we play this. No rush per se. Okay, so with the Misplace, we're gonna try to get the Ascending Penguin. Oh, we still have to confirm it's BizBunk, right? Because it could have changed decks from the previous game we played, but okay, it's BizBunk. Okay, so Popcorn, Study at Night. Okay, so neither of those we want to hit with Misplace. So nice thing is, okay, so the very first Ascending, we're gonna Walk the Runway. Well, the question though is like if they have Adventure Squad, right? Because then we would really end up getting wrecked. So I think we would then just kind of rely on the popcorn. So okay, so that's not a okay. So we have WhataTwist. I think we just pass. Hopefully they just play an ascending now, and if they play the ascending and then they would do something like play a study at night and not have the pudge available, then we would walk the runway it for sure. So let's see if they because we can yeah, if we can get an ascending in their ice, then we can misplace it as well. So okay, so yeah, so here's the ascending. So we won't walk the runway here. And the reason for that is right, if I walk the runway here, they can adventure squad back. And then we're gonna be in a tough spot. So, but maybe, just maybe they'll draw a card and flop it for some pudge, but it's okay because now we're gonna popcorn it. They're gonna get one set of cards removed. But what we will do for that, okay, so we definitely want to keep the Romulus as well. Yeah, there's really no point to play rods because we're definitely on pace. Um, like we don't need to like power out the game because I think we'll play No, well, we're gonna play Misplace next turn, and then probably another popcorn the turn after, and then Romulus. But anyway, I think this is a good set of final cards. So yeah, so they'll probably play. Okay, they'll play the Mega Penguin. Okay, that's interesting. Um, okay, and they got the ascending back. Okay, so I was not expecting that, but that's an interesting play. But so either way, the popcorn will get we'll get the brainy. Okay, so now is there something that we want to grab with a misplace from the ice? I mean, Adventure Squad is kind of interesting, but we already have the counter to that with Walk the Runway. So I think we won't do anything. Okay, maybe we'll get a Bunkus with the Study at Night. Let's see what they get rid of from their hand. 2 Whats. Okay, so that's not really what we need, but maybe an Ascending will come now. That was a Gotham and a Brainy, I think, right? So Penguin who breaks the fourth wall, maybe. But okay, so they're not okay. So okay, so they flop their penguin, so we will still win the vibe check, which again doesn't really matter. What do we have here? Oh, we have another misplace here. So if we got a bounce house, that could be interesting. So I think we just play the Romulus. Um, okay, so if we play the Romulus now, so we're actually going to be down to 10. So if we play the Success Penguin, wait, will that enable us to? Yeah, that will enable us next turn to play popcorn and misplace. Although I guess that's kind of silly because right, we're gonna lose the popcorn, which means we're gonna be down to at 11. Oh, if we play popcorn and misplace, we'll be at 15. Okay, so that could work, right? Because we'll be down at 11 because this popcorn will ice itself because they can't play anything. And then next turn, I play popcorn misplace. Um, I'll be 11, 12 from there from the rod from winning the vibe check, 13, 14, 15. The popcorn ices itself. So I really want to prevent them from playing a Bizbunk, from playing a Bunkus, but there's really nothing good for the misplace to get. The thing about the Adventure Squad is, right, I could grab the Adventure Squad, but I already have the Walk the Runway in my hand. So there's really no need to grab the Adventure Squad. But they're also in this situation now where they yeah, okay, so okay, so they're gonna play their own popcorn. Okay. So that doesn't really matter to us, right? Because right, I'm not sure why they play their own popcorn, right? Because they could have just not played the popcorn and my popcorn would have iced itself. But okay, so they play their own popcorn. So we can still continue with our plan, right? So what's gonna mess up our plan? Not a popcorn. I'm a little sad because I don't really know what to grab from their ice. Um, I guess the penguin who breaks the fourth wall. I could grab those because that could, that's part of them making a big biz bunk. Well, I really want to get a right, because the problem is what if they play the swordsman? Like if they go ascending swordsman, that could be a problem for us. But okay, so I think we just have to wait one more turn because right, we would if we do the play I was talking about, which is basically misplace popcorn, rod this, we would be at 15. But if they play the swordsman then we can't win the vibe check, right? And we have no way to win the vibe check. So I think we will just so do we need to play this? I think we just play this out like this. And I think because I think they're gonna go like ascending swordsman. And then we can remove the ascending with walk the runway. Um I guess we could have played on the fourth wall, but the problem with playing misplace on the fourth wall is yeah, so the problem with misplace on the fourth wall is we end up okay, so maybe I should have done it. All right, so let's see. So hopefully we got a bunkus here. Well, or if they got a bunkus, they played it. But okay, so there are bunkuses there. So we're gonna grab the bunkus for sure because at this point in the game, um, there's no Yeah. Okay, so now the question is, do we play Walk the Runway on this? But I think, right, we still don't have a good answer to the swordsman. Um, but okay, so I think we will just need to pass because if I play Walk the Runway and then they play Adventure Squad, we'll just have wasted the Walk the Runway, and we need the Walk the Runway to counter the Adventure Squad. So, okay, so they're gonna play the Adventure Squad now. All right, so now we'll use the Walk the Runway, and the question is, yeah, I think we will. Um, yeah, so all right, so they've shown that they don't have the swordsman. So I think we will. Okay, so the question is, do we directly counter it or do we get rid of the ascending? But I think we'll directly counter it because yeah, they've shown they don't have the swordsman. So we're gonna do the misplace popcorn thing. And so with ascending penguin, if Bunkus is misplaced, they really can't. Um, yeah, they're really not going to be able to do much, right? They can just play out a bunch of fourth walls. But if they play out a bunch of fourth walls, right, that's not going to be able to beat the Romulus. Now that being said, right, they might have another adventure squad. So then the question is, should I get adventure squad? But no, because I definitely need to get Bunkus because that's how we're going to lose this game. So yeah, so I think the challenge might be they might get a bunch of fourth walls out. Yeah. Um, so let's see. Okay. Well, yeah, so they can get a bunch of fourth walls out and then maybe have an adventure squad. So we will lose, but then we won't lose, right? Then we'll just go on to another turn. And maybe we'll draw a like something like a cleanup good could be nice. Um or just or another walk the runway. Another walk the runway would be amazing. Okay, so we have the cleanup good there. Okay, but that doesn't help. Okay, so we'll definitely play misplace on Bunkus and then we'll play the popcorn. Um I think we'll hold the blossoming penguin back just for some mind games. And I don't think it's going to make a difference. Like, if they play Purple Mega Penguin, for example, again, then this is gonna be no problem. So we really need to protect the misplace and oh, okay, so they drew the swordsman. Okay, so that's unfortunate. So, now we're definitely in full on protect misplaced territory because, yeah, so but we're not gonna be able to protect it because well, I guess we can protect it. Well, I guess they're gonna have to sacrifice a purple mega because if they have Adventure Squad, right, Popcorn Penguin will get rid of the Ascending Penguin. So then it's gonna be, 2 yeah, Yeah, so then the misplace, it's actually kinda nice how small misplace is. But, okay, so we'll do that, and, hmm, yeah, so now the nice thing is, like yeah, so if they get another Adventure Squad yeah, so if they Adventure Squad and remove the misplace, then they're gonna just play a big Bunkus next turn that we have no answer to. So that's definitely not ideal. Maybe with no, even with cleanup good, we can't get there. So then we need to get some sort of like everybody stay clam win condition, I guess, or hungry penguin. So the good news is like they've definitely played an inefficient game. All right, so they're um okay, so I'm not sure why they're doing got him there. Um, what would be the reason for that? I guess just to keep it off the board for one more turn, right? Because they could play ascending next turn. 'Cause, right, they're gonna win the vibe check. Okay, I see it. Okay, so because they wanna play ascending next turn. Um, alright, so they're gonna play have a philosophical debate. Okay, well, in that case, um, we wouldn't have had an answer to that anyway, right? Okay, so now, um, yeah, they're down to really low in their deck. So, they're close to winning. So, I mean, a BounceHouseRod would be really good now, um, for the other misplace. Although, like, right, they're down to only 2 rods. So, the question is what's the well, I mean, obviously they shuffled more cards in with the yeah, did they move so what's in here? Okay, so all the bunkuses are in here. Um okay, so Yeah, so definitely not an ideal situation because, right, they're just gonna play a giant bunkus now. And if we're lucky, they will not play an ascending penguin with it, but I think they're gonna go ascending penguin, giant bunkus. Um, and so okay, so it's interesting. So yeah, so I guess there was no way to protect the misplace. So I really just needed to, yeah. So I just need a hungry penguin, I guess. Because even everyone's day clam won't help at this. Oh no, I do have a WhataTwist. So okay, so a everyone's day clam could help as well. So right, are they going to go for a second bunkus? No. Okay, so hungry penguin, nice. Okay, so that's what we needed. Um, so I think we'll play the sliding penguin as well, and we'll hold back this card just to kind of mess with them. Because right, I think at 16 we'll be in a good position no matter what. All right, so right, they have Adventure Squad. So if they have Adventure Squad, I'm gonna make them at least give up the purple mega as like a trade. So yeah, so but maybe they have a philosophical debate as well again. So let's see. Maybe they don't have another piece of removal. Um, or they have a WhataTwist, right? But if they have one WhataTwist, then we have a WhataTwist as well. So we can at least go WhataTwist into WhataTwist. But we'll see how many WhataTwists they have. Um, so let's see. So if they have another WhataTwist, then we'll have to wait another turn. The problem with waiting another turn is they'll be able to play another bunkus. But every time they play a bunkus, their bunkus gets smaller. Okay, cool. So another so it's really good we're getting a bunch of BizBunk matches here because that's kind of showing how these work. And I think again, it's still like I think the thing I want to stress is just because you have misplace in your deck doesn't mean you automatically win. Even if you draw, you saw I drew misplace that game. But what misplace really does is it just gives you that extra little push. And again, like we barely made it this match, but if we didn't have misplace, we would have not made it at all. But okay, cool. All right, so the first two games are done, both against BizBunk, and both were wins, and both were really tight. So let's play one more, and let's see how it goes. All right, jumping into the next game. So what we've got here is so we got a curious penguin and popcorn. That's good. I don't think we want too curious because that's just too many. So I think we could just keep the curious and the popcorn. Popcorn is really the most important card in this deck. So let's see. Okay, and I don't know what they're playing. So let's see. Okay, so we've got 2, 3, 4. We'll play the bunkus as the rod. I think it's very unlikely that they're playing blue. And if they're playing blue, we can just think of like the bounce house. So we have three shots at it as we get through our deck. Now it's not really quite like having 3 bunkai in your deck because right, bunkus is playable from the ice. So okay, so it's yellow. All right, so against yellow, the question always is, what do we do with our popcorn? Or I guess this could still be a caffeine. Like I've seen a lot of caffeines playing the 1 drop. So it could be a caffeine with the 1 drop. So not sure about that. Okay, so well, either way, well, we'll know this turn if it's yellow, right? And so then let's just assume it's yellow just to talk about this point. Okay, but it is not. It's caffeine with the 1 drop. So it is different. Okay. So either way, let's see. So in this situation, right, we want to just try to win as many vibe checks as possible. But okay, let's just talk about the yellow thing just for a second since I started it. Which is like, let's say that this was yellow and now there were 2 yellow penguins on the board. Would I play popcorn there? Because the question is like, popcorn then can lose to Gotham, but against yellow, if you let them get out of control, right, then the popcorn penguin will get with not your keys. So it's always a balance between Gotham and not your keys. But okay, so here, what are we gonna do? So okay, so we're gonna play curious, for sure. And so then, okay, so if we play curious, okay, so we don't need misplace, and we have CleanUpGood, right? We need to play CleanUpGood, right? We need to keep that for this. So we want to go as wide as possible. So we went with curious, and now the question is, do we just play the popcorn here? Because right, this is a lot of penguins to get with a popcorn. We can, so right, if they play green mega penguin, that would be really bad, but they're not able to play green mega penguin. Okay, we can definitely use misplace as the rod. So and then if they play their own popcorn, it doesn't matter either. So, right, because if we waited to play sliding, well, no, if we waited to play sliding and then they play their own popcorn, but I think we just like popcorn is just not that strong in this matchup. So I think this will be a good. I guess maybe this is weak to got him. Um, but yeah, so yeah, maybe this is weak to got him. So maybe I should have just played the sliding. But it doesn't really like. I think if I just didn't play the um, okay, so this is probably a snow globe deck. Like, um, seeing what I'm seeing here, right? Like the fact that they're playing the blue 6-drop, this is probably the deck that plays the Spring a Leak at the top, and then it will play the yeah. So I'm 100% sure this is gonna play Spring a Leak, and I think this plays Snow Globe, right? Because if you're gonna play blue, you're gonna play Bashful Swordsman. It's a really cool deck. Um, I really like the concept of it. So okay, so if we're playing some sort of like Spring a Leak, Snow Globe, blue deck, so I mean the popcorn removing sneakies will be good. Um, I think we just play the Curious as a rod. We do have 3 Pudge already for the cleanup good, although if they have a caffeine, I guess, but I don't know if this deck runs caffeine. It's a good question. So maybe our popcorn can solo this game, right? If they don't have a way to deal with popcorn, like if they play green mega now, we have 2 turns to draw an inspiring story. So, okay, so they draw inspiring story now. So that's not ideal, right? Because we're gonna have to boost our popcorn, which then means this turn it still works. Okay, so we need another boost for our popcorn this turn, like right now. So we have 2 draws, and we need an inspiring story, basically, is the only thing that will get us out of this. So should we play cleanup good now? Is that a crazy play? So if we play cleanup good now, then our popcorn survives. But I think we still have 2 draws at inspiring story. So I don't think it's good. And I want to save cleanup good for like if there's a snow globe. Because they don't have to have spring a leak. Oh, and we drew inspiring story. Okay. Now if they have another inspiring story, this inspiring story doesn't work. But um so let's just really hope they don't have another inspiring story. So that'll be the okay, so they have the Romulus. Okay, so either way, right? We play the inspiring story, and then I think we play the sliding penguin as a rod, I think. So we don't have a way. Hmm. Yeah, I think yeah, because I think we want to next turn because we also have Hungry Penguin with WhataTwist. So we want as many permanents on the board as possible. All right, so we're gonna have to okay, so we boost that. All right, so we're gonna get rid of this next sneaky penguin. All right, so that also gets him out of Spring a Leak territory, and it gets him down to basically not being able to win the game next turn, which gives me 2 more turns. And we, on the other hand, with the Hungry Penguin, should be able to. We'll be in a position where we basically put them. I like to think of it like in chess, where you put them in check, and you say like you have to get out of this. Like it basically says, they have to have it. Okay, so um, yeah, so another inspiring story would have been nice, but obviously we can't have everything. So we'll play this. Okay, so theoretically we still put them in check here, right? Because oh no, because the popcorn is gonna ice itself. So that's unfortunate. Because the popcorn ices itself. And so let's see, we can make this so we can tie basically. Oh no, wait. No, no, okay, so we're still good, right? Because oh no, but we're at 13. So the question is, do we want initiative or not? Um yeah, because if I flop with the hungry penguin here, we get initiative. And then that basically guarantees, but how do we beat Snow Globe? So Snow Globe comes down, we would lose the Snow Globe and Spring a Leak, but if it's just a plain Snow Globe, we could beat it. So I think we just want to go all in on the next turn, and if we don't win the vibe check, there's a chance we won't be able to just get down to clean up good in our hand. And so I think yeah, because okay, so if they have a Snow Globe, right, that means that they have to right because they're on 13 cards right now. So if they're on 13 cards, um, that means they'll be at 15 if they play the snow globe. That means they can keep 1 card in their hand. So that's not ideal because right, they could snow globe and have a spring a leak. So we will lose to Snow Globe and Spring a Leak, right? So if those two cards are Snow Globe and Spring a Leak, then we can't get past it. Okay, but if they're Inspiring Story and Frosty the Penguin, what does that mean? So it's actually really good that we won that last vibe check, I think, because, right, we're going to get, okay. So what is their one card? So their one card could be Spring a Leak, probably. In which case, I think we're fine, right? Because, okay, so let's just start with HungryPenguin. No. Oh my gosh, I flopped the wrong penguin. Okay, so that's really unfortunate. So that is not what I wanted to do. But, okay, I guess I have to, okay, so should I just clean up good now? If I clean up good, yeah, so if I clean up good, yeah, so let's just clean up good. I think we can still win, but that was really bad. Because if they Spring a Leak here, then we still should be fine. Oof. Okay, so okay, so they Spring a Leak here. And so now we just use the SuccessPenguin on the CuriousPenguin, right? And then worst case, because right, the reason I don't want to use the what's it called? The WhataTwist is they might have their own WhataTwist. But here, if they have their own WhataTwist, it doesn't work. Okay, so I knew the Spring a Leak was coming, so that's good. But I don't. Yeah, so we're at exactly 15. So if they have like a not a rod anymore, then we will do the HungryPenguin. So I still think we're good, even if we don't win this turn. But that was that was a really bad misclick. I was too often La La Land, I guess, talking about whatever I was talking about. But okay, so it looks like we still pulled it out. But okay, so that was all right, cool. All right, well I'm glad we didn't get punished for that mistake, although we definitely deserve to get punished for it. Okay, cool. So all right, so that's the end of the third game. And okay, so yeah, so overall it went really well today. So thanks everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.